I call her again for good measure. Surprisingly, the call does go through this time. Is she laughing or... Good morning, this is Calamity calling, and today I'm playing the elevator game with Catgirls. So it's inspired by a Korean folklore story, I believe, Elevator to Another World, and it's a horror visual novel, and we've got to try and reunite the two girls. But who knows what will happen? Let's see. So, let's see how this goes. I'll try and do the voices, I promise. I will really try. It's a cold winter night. Snow started to fall a couple of hours ago, so the cityscape is littered with a layer of white fluff. It crunches under our feet as we walk down the street. Ta-da! We're here! That is a big building. I look up to inspect the tall building before us. It's past midnight, so it's to be expected that most people living here should be asleep by now. Naturally, that also explains why barely any of the windows show illumination coming from the inside. Considering what we're here for, it only adds to the creepiness of the situation. I've never been a fan of dark places. That didn't change even when I got my feline features. You'd think that being able to see much more clearly in the dark would make the darkness less scary, wouldn't you? Trouble is, I hear so many more little sounds that I couldn't make out before too. And since I'm not sure what all of them are, the dark's every bit as creepy as it was before. Maybe even more so. Oh, she's so cute! So, we are... Finally, a response! I thought you were starting to give me the silent treatment again. I like the way that they're drawn and then their eyes and mouth, I believe, are animated separately or added on at a later date, just to, you know, like layering. I love both of their outfits. I wonder why she's wearing an ankh. It's a fault of mine, and one I'm not too proud of. I tend to get lost in my own head sometimes. Well, quite often, really. Thankfully, Kieran is fairly used to it by now. Is Kieran deliberate choice of name? Isn't that like dragon or something? I swear, Kieran, of all the buildings in the city, you just had to choose one which seems super creepy. This has to be the sole residential building in the whole office district. Oh, but you know it couldn't have just been any building. This one is perfect. And by perfect, you mean... meeting the conditions and being less than 10 miles from our homes? Or are you enjoying our walk in the snow together so much that you'd like to prowl around aimlessly for another hour? Because I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to feel the cold. Was that your plan? For me to need you to warm me up afterwards? You could have said something, Asahi? Like the beer? I just stare at her, not really sure what to say. There's no winning with Kieran when she gets all sly like this. As much as I hate to admit it, it's one of the things I actually like about her. Why did I sign up for this again? Because you love me. Ah, yes, thank you for reminding me of that questionable fact. So, do you get the feeling like someone is manipulating someone else for their advantage over here? No? Just me? Ah, come on, don't be like that. You know I'm happy you decided to come with me. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I stare at her for a moment longer before I sigh. I really can't argue with her, not when she's looking at me like that. I had a silent crush on this girl for the longest time and never expected one day to find out that the attraction was mutual. The fact that we managed to actually get together still feels unreal sometimes. If it weren't for the fact that this change affected her too, it would have never come to this. As much as I disliked it in the beginning, it made me feel like an outcast amongst my former peers after all. Our shared experience allowed me to be there for her when she needed it most. It's a memory I'm always going to cherish. Of that, I'm sure. I breathe warmly on my hands, rub them together, then jam them deep into my pockets. It's not much, but hopefully it will help keep some feeling in my fingertips. It's enough to let me focus on things in here and now, at least, rather than just how cold it is. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You get provoked way too easily. You're doing all this because of the bet with Morgan, aren't you? Oh, sure, that's one of the reasons. But that's not the only one. I'm doing it because it's fun. Fun? Kieran, you've seen the forums. Not a single person out there ever said it was a good idea. And yes, all those fairy tale stories. Quite tragic, really. Come on, you're not about to tell me you honestly believe those. I don't like the look on her face. It makes me uncomfortable. She looks like she's about to rip out my jugular, like Chucky style. So you mean that you don't? Seriously, girl, we live in the real world. Spooky, scary skeletons don't just pop out of nowhere just because someone decided to be an idiot and press some buttons a certain way. I don't know. I can't believe that you of all people are still saying that strange, unexplained things don't happen. I mean, you did look in the mirror this morning, right? This is this and that is that. So you don't believe this will actually work. Remind me why we're here again? We are here to prove a point, namely that Morgan can suck it. I honestly can't believe I let you drag me into this. Chill, Asai. Asai? I'll get that down. We suffer the cold for a while longer, nothing happens, and then Morgan owes me $50. $50 that'll treat us to a nice dinner together. I suppose a dinner with you is a pretty good incentive. See, I knew you'd come around. That being said, wish me luck and all that jazz. I'll be right back. Kieran? What? I'm the one who should be getting cold feet here, not you. Just, you remember all the rules, right? Stay safe, okay? That's a jam. Be realistic about this. What's an elevator gonna do? Bite me? You could always get stuck. That's a realistic possibility, if anything. I'm sure you'll figure it out if I do. Now be sure to stay away from the building since we'd be breaking those majestic rules otherwise. Right. See you in a bit. I'ma have a juice break. I stare as Kieran approaches the building's entrance, presses one of the intercom buttons, and moments later pushes the door open. How does she convince people to trust her so quickly to let her into the building like that? She's gone from my sight before I know it, a faint click as the door closes behind her. There's a feeling of unease pooling in my stomach. All of this being a bad idea. Probably the worst we've had yet. Just screams in my head. I'm so going to give Morgan a piece of my mind once this is all over. It's not like I can really do much about it now. However, if I were to go after my girlfriend, saying I've suddenly changed my mind, it would undoubtedly make her angry. Hell, we snuck out of our house through the window without our parents knowing just to go through with all of this. If I had a problem with this whole crazy idea, I should have said something way earlier. It's too late now. Oh, phone! I love her nails. I couldn't do that. I would stab myself in the eye just trying to get my contacts in and out. I wrap my fingers around my phone and pull it from my pocket. As I do, I see the screen shows 00:13 AM. It took us around an hour to walk here, and while I dreaded us being here in the first place, I'm also not looking forward to walking all the way back, especially when it's bound to get colder as the night goes on. Perhaps we could use those $50 to get a ride home instead of a meal. Yeah, if things only worked that way. Do, do, do. you. This is really pretty. With another sigh, I turn away and start to walk towards a small park located in the middle of this godforsaken district. I don't know why part of it is a playground. There can't be many kids here in the day, can there? But it is, and there's a slide as well as a pair of swings. I'll most likely freeze my arse off if I sit on one though. That would let me lift my feet off the ground for a bit. The cold, snowy ground. Oh, I like this. I decide to sit down on the nearest one. And just like that, the uneasy feeling of having entered a liminal space hits me, making the hairs at the back of my neck stand up. One's mind usually associates playgrounds with children, laughter, movement, and life in general. It's what they were designed for, after all. Nope, I picture being a teenager, having nothing else to do, it being far too cold out, and sitting on the swings and seeing if you can make it go all the way around, except they had those bars rather than, you know, like the loops, so could never do that. One kid tried, got hurt, never again. So when you get to experience the total opposite of that, when you find yourself sitting in an empty, childless playground in the middle of the night, it doesn't feel right. Your mind associates it with something being off, something being wrong. Why are you here, Sai, in a place you shouldn't be? Ooh, the vending machine has lights. Maybe they have hot tea. Absent-mindedly, my gaze wanders. Something the other side of the street catches my attention. It's a vending machine. I happen to have a bit of change with me, and the idea of getting something hot to drink is suddenly a very alluring temptation. It would undoubtedly make the waiting out in the cold less unpleasant. Please say it's a machine that has hot drinks as well as cold ones. Why is the swing making noise? With my mind made up, I get back to my feet, checking the time once more, out of habit, other than actual curiosity again. 14. Only a minute's passed since Kieran disappeared into the building, and I'm both surprised and not really. The feeling of time passing slower than usual is normal when you obsessively wait for something, even more so when said waiting is physically uncomfortable. You should get a place to sit out of the snow for a bit, make it a bit warmer. I make my way towards the vending machine without a second thought. Space Cat! To my relief, its glowing buttons do indeed hold the promise of a hot drink. Cocoa. I'm usually more of a coffee person, but I'm in the mood for something sweet, and the sugar will help you warm up too. My mind will most likely appreciate the sugar rush right now. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this is Kieran's favourite drink. Aww. I love... Foul, choco. Yeah, it's about time. I acknowledge the fact that I've started to consume more sweet stuff because of her, even though she says I'm sweet enough as I am. It's only when there's a clunk of coins in the change slot that I realise the cocoa is a bit cheaper than the coffee, meaning that I'll be able to get a can for Kieran when she comes out too. That's a nice surprise. As I work on opening the bottle, I realise how warm and heavenly it feels in my hands. I wrap my hands around it, enjoying a few moments of bliss as the heat warms up my fingers. I take a small sip, instantly happy with the taste. Being able to drink anything warm feels like a godsend right now. Satisfied, at least momentarily, I make my way back to the playground, intending to sit back on the spot I took up before. Is there something in my spot? I keep expecting the horror thing to just be like, poof, oogie boogie. I reach the swing and settle back down. As I glance again at the building Kieran slipped in 2 minutes ago. It looks darker, doesn't it? My blood suddenly runs cold. A sense of panic swarms my mind as I try to make sense of what I'm seeing. A building that's dead to the world, all pitch black with none of its light shining through the windows anymore. Could all the residents have gone to sleep in the meantime? It's close to impossible and I know it. A power outage, maybe? I quickly turn around and look at the other buildings around me. All of those seem the same as when we arrived, with bright windows still present here and there. So surely that can't be it. If the power was cut off, that would affect the whole street, wouldn't it? Or even several streets. Almost spilling my drink, I hastily reach for my phone in my pocket. Huh? I blink, then close my eyes for a moment, certain that something's wrong with my eyesight. The time couldn't have just gone backwards. Oh! What? It's 18! A small sense of relief flooded me as I quickly opened my eyes again. It must have been a trick of the light before, or perhaps a glitch with my phone's display. Perhaps there's something wrong with me. Remembering what made me reach for my phone in the first place, I raised my head to look at the building before me once more, only to see it in its previous state. The lights are back on as if they were never gone to begin with. The unease in my stomach stays. Though I know what I saw, I'm pretty sure I couldn't have imagined it. It's been 5 minutes since Kieran went into the building. Is that enough to ride through a bunch of floors? Would she be mad if I called her so soon? Dwelling on it suddenly feels stupid. Ah. I open up the call app on my phone and there's her name at the top of the history. She called me just a couple of hours ago to confirm our plans for tonight. Admittedly, her name is also there for the call before that, and the one before that, and... okay, I chat to her a lot. So one more call can't hurt, right? I hit the redial button. I should have expected the call wouldn't connect. If she's still inside of the elevator, then there probably isn't any reception in there, is there? So what options does that leave me with? Going in after her? Waiting for another 5 minutes? I stare at the building before me intently, afraid to avert my eyes anymore. It's like I'm hopeful my gaze, my constant observation alone will make the lights stay. I'm scared of the situation repeating itself. Sometime later, I realise that I spent so long just holding my can and fretting about Kieran. My drink has gone from a nice hot drink to, well, undrinkable. Some drinks are not meant to be just kind of warm, and this is one of them. It'll at least keep my hands from freezing, I guess. 10 minutes pass, I only feel more cold and helpless. Why can't Kieran just come out of the building now as if nothing happened and laugh at me for worrying too much? 6G. Next level. I call her again for good measure. Surprisingly, the call does go through this time. Is she laughing or... Hello? I think she's laughing. I'm not prepared for what I hear. A woman laughing at the other end. There's something about it that disturbs me to the very core. It's definitely not Kieran's voice. Or is it? All of a sudden realization hits me. Morgan, the bet, everything, now this. None of it could possibly be real. All of this has to be a prank arranged by my classmates. And whether Kieran's in on it. The sound effects are really good in this. She wouldn't do that to me, would she? The image of her wickedly smiling, amused face persistently pops up in my mind again. Confusion turns into anger. Before I know it, I'm on my feet, already marching to the building, determination boiling inside of me. Do not go in there! No. There's an obstacle before I can get in though, as I obviously don't have a key to the entrance door. What kind of excuse would be plausible at this sort of hour? I stab the button that I think Kieran pressed, and then about almost immediately regret it. What if I press the wrong button? What if I press the right one and sound stupid when the person asks who's there? What if... To my surprise, there's a click from the intercom, then a buzz as I'm let in without a single word being spoken. Huh, so Kieran didn't have to sweet talk anyone. I try not to dwell on the unexpected invitation as I shrug it all off on luck. Don't go in there! As soon as the door closes behind me, it occurs to me just how dark the inside of the building is. I know it's the middle of the night, but I'm not sure whether such a complete lack of light is normal. For people live here after all, there should be some signs of life. Buildings usually have at least a few lights on inside, don't they? It's unsettling, although it doesn't make me as nervous as it used to. I know that my vision is going to adjust to the darkness in a moment, letting me navigate the place easily. I'm able to see a lot better in the dark compared to when I was still completely human, but it doesn't work instantly. Was that the light? As I take my first few hesitant steps into the building, the lights flicker on with a harsh buzz. Of course, I'm being such an idiot. There are automatic lights in here. They come on when people move. Totally ordinary. I've never been in this building before. It stands to reason that it feels unusually creepy to me, right? Especially if I think about why I'm here. Don't want to. All that considered, it feels longer for me to reach the end of the hallway than it should. It's a danger dangerous time to let your mind wander into places nobody sane would want it wandering to. At least the building inside is noticeably warmer than the outdoors. It makes the whole situation feel slightly easier to bear. My hands and feet almost start to freeze off in the meantime. I don't want to go in there. Next thing I know, I stand before the elevator door rooted to the ground, with the sudden sensation of someone watching me. Hesitantly, I reach to press the elevator button, more panic exploding inside me as the automated light picks that exact moment to cut out. Oh, the atmosphere in this is fantastic. My first instinct is to get out my phone, let it illuminate the sudden darkness of the corridor, and God knows what only else is inhabiting it currently. There's nothing. Nothing that I'm able to see anyway. It's just an empty corridor, a row of closed doors along each side, seemingly the same as when I first entered it. There's nobody here. I don't want to do this, let me out. Ugh. I don't feel any less on edge when I turn back to the other direction, bearing my back to all that space again, pressing the elevator button as quickly as I can find it. A distant sound of machinery starts up, pierces the unnerving silence, followed by a hum which indicates that the elevator is in motion. It's clearly on a different floor, so I wait for it to descend. Taking a deep breath, I try to calm myself. It feels like an eternity for the thing to arrive. The door finally slides apart with a slight scraping sound. The small compartment finally opens up before me, completely empty. I'm not sure whether I should be surprised or not. Part of me hoped it wouldn't have to come to this, while another already expected for things to turn out this way. At this point, I decide to do the only sensible thing I could think of doing. Leave! Get into the elevator, ascend to the highest floor, then make my way down the stairs, all in hope of stumbling upon Kieran, possibly hiding from me on one of the floors. If only things turned out that easy. The music and sound effects on this is really good. I don't understand. Oh, this is the demo. Okay. Full game to come. Oh. I really love the atmosphere of this. I feel like they got it like spot on. And yeah, I think I will play the full version of this, as much as like I don't want to, like I want to play it, but I don't want to because it seems scary. The atmosphere and the sound effects, like 10 out of 10. I loved it. So I'm going to leave this one here because we finished the demo, and I hope you have a very lovely day, and most importantly of all, you do you.